Welcome to Couch on Fire. My name is Erica Martin. I'll be your host. I'm a psychotherapist with 20 plus years experience, welcoming you to the conversation with fascinating people with unique stories to tell. So if you want to learn to dig deep, get the hell out of your own way, and start living your best life, then you're going to love today's episode. And you can always decide. You can spend your life choosing to put out fires or setting your soul on fire. And the choice, my darling, has always been yours. Hi, welcome to Couch on Fire. I'm here with Melissa Jeffries, one of my favorite souls on the planet, who was instrumental in starting a company that works in federal contracting, etc., and engineering. Mm-hmm. You're also very entrepreneurial, super creative. You've been involved in beach bodies. You're all about empowerment.
Yes.
And so welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you could be here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. I mean, my goodness, you are such an inspirational little thing, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to start with the one question. If your little girl showed up today and was sitting here, what might she say?
Wow.
That's a good one, right?
Big question.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a good one because I think about her a lot, and I think we've done a lot of work in that realm, and in my therapy sessions. And I think that really, I think she would be proud. I think she would just be really proud in the fact that I gave the validation that she always sought from others to her.
That you've been able to give it to her yourself.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for being here today because, the whole purpose and things we talk about, in terms of empowering others, getting past hurdles, obstacles, stereotypes, stigma, like whatever it is, just get the hell out of your own way is part of what this is about, right?
Yeah.
And you have learned to get the hell out of your own way.
I for sure have. And I think that that's something that she would definitely see, like just a lot of that anxiety of like, am I doing the right thing for this person and for that person? Just letting me be me and letting the right people who want that person into your sphere of influence. Yeah.
And knowing who to invite in.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing who to invite in has been part of the journey. So I think about like from where you started and to where you are in the present, like you always had this resiliency. There's always been that part of you that, and I really do want to credit this to the little girl as well. I feel like the adult you, but the little girl too.
Yes.
That's like, okay, challenge me. Tell me I can't do it, right?
And it's funny that you bring that up because that's something that my dad and I would always have like kind of a little bit of a connection over. Perseverance, he always said, was my word. And every time I would go for something, I would never get it on the first try. And
most of us don't.
But I would watch my sister, who was very naturally like athletic and, very social, like prom queen, all that stuff. Like everything seemed to come very organically to her. And I would always, compare myself to her.
Oh, that measuring stick.
And I think just, so my dad and I had this saying, like every time I finally got something after multiple tries, he would say, you got it, you got it. And so even when I graduated from James Madison University, that was where I went to school, go Dukes, on my cap, I bedazzled it because that was the thing to do.
Bedazzling.
With I got this, and so and so there were multiple times in my life that I got to call my dad or share with my dad, I got this. And so that has been a theme of ever since I was little. But I do think there was a shift in where the I got this was directed to over time. Like for a while it was like I wanted my dad to see me. And
be proud of me.
And he always was. But I just, I always wanted that validation.
Don't you think every child does, though? I mean, no matter how old we are, no matter what we've been through, there's always that child part, which maybe we'll get into more. I don't know if everyone's going to understand and really fully appreciate that, part of our work is looking at where we come from, right? And what stories we hold based on our childhood experiences. And, everything kind of can be rooted back there in terms of our belief systems, et cetera, which you now know.
Yes, very much so.
And you've now decided, okay, that's a story. I now have control over it, right? But I think we always go back to, I'm 50 some years old. I still, I'm like, I want my parents to be proud of me. There's always like that part of us, right? And for anyone listening, like that's just human.
Yeah.
That's just really human. But then the letting go part, like I think we talked about this, is like you're fully an adult when you realize like your parents are just flawed human people doing the best that they can.
100%. 100%.
And you're a parent.
Yes.
So how do you
three.
have three? So like how do you think your journey affects you in terms of parenting?
I think it affects me in a lot of ways. Like I think I've stopped, even just in the way I say things, just in my own giving myself that validation. I want my kids to be able to figure that out too.
Yeah.
And so when I say I'm so proud of you, I say you should be so proud of you. I hope you're proud of you.
Yeah.
Like you put in a lot of work, or I emphasize like the behaviors or the actions that got them to where they were.
Yeah.
And I think just trying to help them see that like they did that.
So you're making sure they're seen.
Trying.
No. No. For those of you out there, you're either doing it or you're not.
This is true.
Doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
And I know, even in our conversations, you've noticed that your children are like highly sensitive. They're very empathic kids, and you recognize that part of yourself that maybe by no fault of anyone's just wasn't nurtured or developed. And that
I don't know if it was understood as much.
Probably not.
In previous times, decades ago. Like, I mean, being an empath was not something that was ever presented to me by anyone. I really, I understood having empathy, but I didn't understand that whole like empathic nature until I was 30. Or beginning of my 30s. And so,
right. And that's a game changer because you're like, wow, the rest of the world doesn't interact like this or feel like this or think like this.
And I was always told I was too sensitive.
Oh, we all are.
And that I needed to like be stronger. And it was like, actually, like just because I'm sensitive doesn't mean I'm not strong. And I think that was another huge turning point in my self-exploration, was that like I can feel things but still have a tremendous amount of strength to get me through a lot of adversity.
Even stronger.
Sure.
Because it must be, I don't know. I'm just going to say, must be easier if you could turn it off.
Must be.
I wouldn't know, right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know. But if you
to not feel so vulnerable all the time.
Yeah. And feeling what everyone else is feeling and tapping into everyone else's energy, whether you want to or not, it's going to show up, right?
Yeah.
And then to be a mom of sensitive children, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, but
it's both. Yeah.
Probably more a blessing though, because you can see it in them and you understand it now. So like you are the parent that can show up and be there.
Yeah. A lot of the times, like if they're struggling with something, I'll say, do you need a moment to reset? And at first they thought I was putting them in timeout. And I'm like, no, I'm not mad at you, but clearly you have a lot that you're feeling right now. Like, let's take a beat, think about it. And half the time when I would go back and talk to them, what they were upset about in that moment was never the problem to begin with. And so it just gave them a minute to kind of sort through those feelings of what's mine and what's somebody else's, or what's just, what they feel in the environment they're in.
And that becomes a practice that you're teaching them at a very young age that I know you and I have just talked about, like, God, I wish I knew this, right? God, I wish someone said to me, you're very sensitive, but it's a superpower. And I want you to take a little time and regroup and figure it out. But like you said, this wasn't something that was really acknowledged or practiced or talked about.
Not at all.
At least not more commonly, let's say.
No, I don't think so.
No.
And to no fault of my parents, like they, like I said, they've always done the best that they could. I had a great childhood and like loved every piece of it. But I just think in learning more about myself, it's helped me understand where my kids are.
Yeah. And you don't know what you don't know.
No.
Right? So if you came from, and myself as well, right? If you came from parents who weren't like very empathic, they could have been sensitive and kind and warm and but they didn't understand the depth of your feeling. How in the world would they know to even check or scan for those kinds of things? They wouldn't, right? So the stats have changed in the course of time that we've been working together, right? But I think let's say it's no more than 5%. And 5% may be generous in terms of people who are truly empathic. And for me, reading the Empath Survival Guide, and I believe you read that as well.
Hugely helpful. Great resource.
Because it just like starts saying, oh, these little idiosyncrasies, these things that are so unique to me, perhaps, are really not all that unique in other people who are deep feelers.
Well, and I kind of disregarded them. And I didn't realize like certain types of personalities that are attracted to my personality. And I'd find myself running into similar situations or habits and it's because your energy attracts certain types of energy.
Oh, like narcissistic people, manipulative people, people who are drawn to your light for the sake of like
Yeah.
recharging their own batteries and you
Yeah.
leave drained.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think there's a common thread amongst everyone that's come on that talks about being a highly empathic person.
Yeah.
But learning to disconnect from that was
Yeah.
such a huge moment for you. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Or do you remember like what the defining moment was where it's like, you know what, I'm putting down all the expectations that
Sure.
everybody has, wants of me, that maybe at one point you even thrived on because that became your self-identity, right? Whether
Yeah.
you knew it or not, it became a role.
Yes.
And now it's like, oh, who am I if I'm not?
I think the big thing for me was when I got divorced back in 2019. My now ex and I decided to go our separate ways, and it was really hard. And I think from a number of reasons. Obviously, I was a mom of 2 at the time, so
And they were very young.
they were very young.
Very young.
So figuring out how to step out on my own and how I was going to handle that. Thank God for my family; they stood by me, whether they agreed with me or not. They were there.
Well, we could talk about Catholicism and our recovering from that one day at a time.
Yeah. So I am, I was raised Catholic, and we've talked about that. And so obviously divorce is frowned upon. So suddenly I felt like I didn't belong there either. And so I was just like, who am I and what do I believe and what do I feel is best for me? There was a lot of guilt and shame around, how I was moving forward. But at the same time, like I'll never forget after moving into my townhouse, which I had bought for me and the kids to live in, getting there, and it was the weekend so the kids were with their dad because it was my weekend to move in, and so he was hanging on to them while I took care of that. And I remember walking into the house after getting the keys and just sitting on the steps, and I just felt peace. Like, this is all new and I get to write it. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm gonna start crying.
That's okay. That's just real.
It's just, I expected to feel more scared of the unknown. And in fact, it felt like just this big, blank canvas that I got to, recreate and reinvent. I didn't know what was going to be reinvented on it, but
and there was a lot of terrifying moments before that.
For sure.
Of what if I'm wrong? What if I'm making a mistake? My kids, my family, and not that those things are minor. I don't mean to poo-poo that, but some part of you, this is the little resilient part of you that I love, the little girl in you. She kind of made a decision, like, I need to do what's right for me.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there who are like probably sitting here. If we're lucky, they're listening. I'm hoping they're listening, right? Sitting there, maybe in a similar situation of stay, go. The comfort I know, or the discomfort I know versus the discomfort I don't know.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of fear in that. But I think, I could crumble in a world where I was so lost, yet surrounded by everything that looked perfect. Or I could crumble in figuring out what that world should look like for me and what felt most authentic to me.
Doesn't sound like you have any regrets as I look at you. And
I don't. I mean, obviously there's things we can always do better. And I look back and there are definitely things that I could have done better. But it was the right decision. And I do feel like, looking at what I've been able to build and create, and with the thought in the back of my mind, like, what's the alternative? Like, I want my kids to see that, despite crazy circumstances, like, we can rise above and we can make choices that enable us to live our most authentic life.
It starts with loving yourself, though.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when you're like filled with the shoulds. Oh gosh, we worked on the shoulds, right?
We should it all over ourselves.
Yes, we should it all over ourselves with, oh, I should do this, or people expect it, so maybe I'm wrong, and I should be this, and I should be that. When at the end of the day, when you look back at that adorable little girl, she was all filled with sunshine and love and goodness.
For sure.
And when she started getting her voice again, and she started, getting the keys to the house for the first time of like, what am I going to create? It's like, I got crayons, I got markers, I'm ready. Even though there's fear and apprehension, of course, because you don't know.
Yeah. And there was a lot of stumbling along the way. I mean, there were things I didn't know. And, like I think I told you earlier, like, thank God for my mom. She showed up when things started to get a little haywire, and she taught me how to do things. And she's like, all right, I don't love this, but we're going to get through this. We're going to do this, and I'm going to teach you how. And, and so I think that's the best we can do for the people that we love is to, try to show up for them.
You know what? And despite the fact that her religious beliefs really were contrary to your decision.
Yeah.
That is real love.
Oh,
when it's
sure.
like, I'm going to show up for you. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I maybe don't even fully support it.
Right.
How do you think she feels now? I know she's not here. I don't mean to put you on this spot.
No, it's funny because we've had conversations recently. I still don't think she loves the fact that the kids have, 2 separate homes they live in and, but the kids are thriving. They've done really well with all of that. And I think she sees what I've become. I think even, I want to say it was
like woman to woman versus.
It was like a few months after everything was finalized, and we went to a family wedding, and my aunt went up to my mom, and she said, "I think we got Melissa back." Like it was like she could kind of see like the sunshine start to come back again, because like I said, I was pretty lost prior to, and so I think now she's seen like how much I've been able to do, and she always writes me a little like Mother's Day card or whatever, and she's always saying how proud she is of like how far I've come. But yeah, I think she sees that it was a good thing.
And no one path is going to be for everyone, right? So even though whoever it is that's listening, watching, whatever, may not have chosen your path, it doesn't mean it wasn't your path.
Correct.
Right? And that's what you've really kind of embraced.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that just getting over the perfectionism of like everything has to look a certain way.
About that.
I think back to like the people pleasing, wanting to do.
Hello, it's very annoying. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, please. Sorry.
Back like just as empaths, we want to, fix things, people please sometimes, we always want to. Sometimes, not all the time, but. So yeah, I feel like I always tried to live this. I have it all together. Kind of
the illusion.
Yes. And
it's like Oz until you go behind the curtain and it's like just a little old man like moving a machine. It's not real.
And just because it all looks perfect doesn't mean it feels perfect or feels right. And so I think things, I don't know, sometimes have to get messy in order for them to kind of come back in the way that they need to.
Well, as things tumble down, there's an opportunity to rebuild, right? So the expression is breakdown, opportunity for breakthrough.
Yes.
Right. And if we can embrace it, and that's hard in the moment because we want everything to be picture perfect and look great from the outside.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say at this point, that's such bullshit?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I remember just like, I went from divorce to learning to single parent and co-parent, learning to get through a pandemic because that happened like within months after everything happened. So just as I'm starting to figure out on my weekends without the kids who I am, all of a sudden we're all stuck home and there's no social interaction, nothing. And so
I do remember thinking that was probably very ill-timed for your journey.
I had a lot of time to myself, which I don't know if I've ever really sat with myself before. So I think that was really needed. Then my dad had a health decline. So I just feel like there were a lot of things stacked over really the last few years, that could have broken me more than they did. But I think they broke me down just enough to be able to uncover some strengths and some, beliefs in myself that I didn't know were there or that I was capable of.
Or that you just never really tapped into because
it.
Maybe the focus was so much on pleasing everyone else and how they were feeling.
Yes.
Maybe that was the first time you really got to examine how you were feeling.
Yeah.
And what you wanted.
For sure. What I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted.
Who does though?
What I wanted was what other people had told me I should want. And so
until you get it and there's a shallowness in it because it was never really what you wanted.
No, and in choosing what I wanted, it upset the apple cart in a lot of different ways, and I had to learn to be okay with that. I had to learn to
pick oranges. Yeah. Right? If the apples are I'll pick an orange or a peach.
Yeah.
A plum.
Right. Yeah. And to know that it's okay to live differently than what other people think you should live or the way that they think you should live.
Beach bodies was a big thing for you, and you're
Yes.
still involved in that.
I
And
am to a degree. I still do their workouts. They change their structure of how they do things. But
Okay.
yeah. But yes, that was a huge. I actually joined them. They were a multi-level marketing company,
Yeah.
which some people love, some people don't.
Doesn't matter. It worked for
It's
you.
fine.
Was
It
a
worked
good
for me in the
experience for
moment. It was
you.
a good experience for me. And when I got involved, I needed community so bad.
Yeah.
I was at that point where, I mean, I joined for the workouts like right after I had my second son in 2017, but I didn't really do much with it until like 2018. And then that's when we decided to get divorced. Everything was finalized in 2019. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so having that community, although it was a virtual community, but the nice part about it was they were always there.
Yeah.
And people were up at all different hours because of where they were in the country. And so I always had this lifeline that was kind of there. And so, and most of us are just posting our sweaty selfies, and it seemed ridiculous to start. I'm like, this is just so dumb. But if I didn't show up for 2 days, they were
Someone would
pinging
be
me.
checking on
And they
you.
were like, hey, Melissa, we haven't seen you in a while. Where are you? How's things going? Like, how's that program? And I mean, it was all surface level, but like I did get deeper with some of the women there. And it was
But it was
really,
accountability,
really helpful.
care, people noticing.
Yes.
Right.
And when I was going through such a stressful time of uncertainty, they were just a pillar of strength for me. And so I loved how much, I don't know, safety and security there was there that, even when, family was upset with my decision, not understanding my decision. Friends didn't know what to say because a lot of our friends were mutual. And so they were like, do I take sides? Am I doing that?
Oh, God,
it was
that's
all
ugly.
awkward
That's so
and,
ugly.
and not necessary, but I understand how awkward that can be. So conversations were just hard at that point.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have this external group of people that really had no attachment to my personal life.
And
I
didn't know a lot of it either,
Didn't know
so
a lot of
you
it
could
either.
have
So
just-
I
it's-
could just
be you.
yeah. And that was where I kind of started to rebuild myself. It was like, okay, these people, see me like, and they were a group that was like, we're no judgment, show up however you need to. And, eventually like we start, confiding in each other. And as I would bring things up, I just didn't feel that they were like, so encouraging. And I was like, this is the world I want to be a part of. Like, this is the world I want to create is one that's filled with this level of positivity. And so I did join as a coach to help try to build that kind of community for other people and empower other women to,
And you loved it.
step. I did. And I let, it gave me so many opportunities. Got to travel to many different
I remember,
places.
like, even your first trip.
Oh my gosh,
post-divorce,
that first
and you
trip
being
was
like,
so great.
well, all right, I'm just doing it for me. And how much, like, that was hard for you to say, I'm just doing something for me.
Like, I didn't know what it would turn into, but I got on a plane and I met up with girls I had only talked to online. Like, it was just looking back, like, very silly, like my internet friends.
Was it silly, or was it your intuition that guided you to do that?
I think my intuition guided me a bit. Like, and I remember sitting in the stands, and actually Rachel Hollis was the speaker that year. And she was funny, but raw and real. And I just sat there and I kind of cried because I just felt for the first time that like, I'm where like, this is the start of something. Like, it just felt, I don't know, like
I see
my
you
spirit
even now
came alive.
being a little emotional when you talk about
my
it.
spirit just came alive. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I know I'm going as me. And that feels so good.
Oh, God, yeah. Reminds me of a Yogi Berra quote. Sorry, the Yankees are playing right now. I'm hoping it's better than last night. But the joke was, Yogi Berra isms. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm making good time. Right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like,
Yeah.
don't know where the adventure is going, but I am getting there. I'm making good time in my own time.
Yeah, right.
Good for you.
And I think there's something to be said for that like your time doesn't have to look like anyone else's. I didn't go into marriage thinking that it would fail or even wanting it to fail.
No one does.
I didn't think I'd get remarried, and I found love again. And
yeah, you did.
But I don't think that all of that would have come together had I not chosen myself.
Absolutely.
And had I not gone on that journey to learn more about myself and to embrace my imperfections and be okay with them and say like, that's just
me,
part of my character. And I'm not saying that like we shouldn't work on the things that we need to work on, but none of us are perfect.
No, but we're all going to have those little quirks, those
Yes.
idiosyncrasies. We're going to have our little insecurities.
Yes.
We're going to have our little like OCD moments. But like we all have those
Right.
things. But the person that's right for you is going to kind of celebrate and say,
Yeah.
I love those adorable little whatevers about you. I'm not, and yeah, of course, our goal is always to be the best version of ourselves.
For sure.
But what does that mean? And I think it's really up to us to decide what the best version. You know,
Right.
to me, you and I right now, showing up,
Yeah.
sitting here,
Yeah.
having a real conversation with the intention of helping people
Yeah.
is just, that is being your most authentic self. I think sometimes people, you inspire me to talk about 3 different things. Do you mind?
No,
I'm going to
go
run
ahead.
with it. I'm going to run
Please
as I was
do.
listening.
I'm intrigued.
Okay. So one is when people say, you know, how do I know how to even begin this journey, right? You know, it's like that's the most daunting part. And they oftentimes think it's going to be these big things.
Yes.
It's not.
It's not.
It's the small things. It's the first step of maybe I'll get on this online group or, you know, maybe I'll join an empath group and meet my people or, you know, maybe I'll do these other things. It's a very brave step.
Right.
But it's a small step. It's not like you have to reconstruct everything. So I feel like that's a really good point.
Yeah.
That you're sharing with people, that it just...
And for me, it was little things, like little daily practices. It wasn't overhauling my entire diet and jumping on a treadmill for hours a day. It was like 30 minutes in the morning. I got up before the kids because it was the only point of day that I could really... So yes, I had to get up and learn to be an early riser.
Bless you. I do admire you.
But I did, and it was, you know, it was time for me. I took those 30 minutes, and I was like, this is going to be me time. And so...
And you had to schedule that because most people
I did,
won't do that. So that's a huge step.
I was a mom and, you know, or am a mom and was working and, you know, like as a single mom especially had to do the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and like all the things. And I know a lot of women feel like overwhelmed with this mental load. So like they don't want to start because there's just no room in their day. And I 100% understand that. But carving out that 30 minutes in the morning, getting up just a little bit earlier helped so much in my mental clarity for the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about getting skinny. It was just like, let's breathe. And whether that's yoga or meditation or it was just a minute. Actually, even
Taking a
before I
walk,
started working out,
anything.
it was like me sitting with, I would read a daily devotional and drink coffee. And it was just like in the quiet, just me. And it was just a time. So some people meditate, some people write or journal. And then honestly, during COVID, I again struggled because I was so physically alone, like just
Like literally isolated. Yeah.
So in the morning when I got up, I would take a journal and I make myself a hot cup of coffee and I would sit there and I would write down 5 things that I was grateful for from the day before. Just 5 things. And they were so simple. It was like the sun came up. I took a walk with the dog.
I don't feel bad today. I don't feel like it's a bad day.
Little things.
Yeah.
But then after time, like when I would look back and you start to see the things that matter to you, like even just the little basic things.
And you know what? Most people now, I totally lost my list of 3, but no, you bring me to another point. But Mosey, thank you. The audience thanks you, right? The waking moments.
Yeah.
Are our most powerful and transformative moments. And there's actual science behind this, right? So when we're waking up and we're in a distressed state or, you know, we've overslept the alarm or whatever, that's like your body's already starting hijack.
I would start in my day in chaos. Someone would be calling for me and I would need to go and like do whatever they needed for me.
Yeah.
But waking up and having that moment of just me, it was like I started on my own schedule. So I heard this is like go to work for yourself before you go to work for anyone else.
Absolutely.
And I loved that sentiment, and that's kind of something I've carried with me. And I know it's not for everybody. You know, maybe lunchtime is your time, maybe after work is your time, or after the kids go to bed, you can sneak away and do a, you know, whatever. But for me, that morning made such a big difference.
Ideally, because that is when we're most powerful in our manifestation.
This is true.
We are most like clean slate when we first get up, right? So whatever we're doing, for those of you listening, whatever you're doing in the very beginning part of your day is really powerful.
Yeah.
And so I love what you were saying about finding the time to do gratitude. Maybe that's not first thing in the morning. Okay, that's the most ideal time, but it doesn't mean don't do it.
2 years to start doing that. Like
I remember.
So it's not like I'm not like I think I agree with you when you're like people feel like they got to do all the things, and it's like you do like one little thing, and when you have that as part, when it doesn't feel like a chore anymore, when it just feels weird to not do it, then you know you've built a habit, and then you can add in like the next thing and start doing those things, and so.
So that's the self-care, right?
Yeah.
So when people say, well, what is the self-care? It can be lots of things, but those small steps add up and they really can make a huge difference. So for anyone out there listening, we're not suggesting, hey, you have to go do some, climbing Mount Everest right now.
Right.
Those 1 or 2 small little things, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, they add up. And it's about creating intention in our lives, like creating that space
Right.
where we can just be.
100%.
So if you're out there and you haven't done that for even 30 seconds, all right, I'll take 30 seconds right now.
Yeah.
Right? And then maybe it's a minute, and then maybe it's 5. Right. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you just keep adding a little bit more time until you feel like it's a good release for you.
Yes. And then the second thing that you highlighted is the importance of connection.
Yes.
So whether that is an online group, which, you know, people in AA and NA, I mean, this is the glue for so many people, you know.
And I totally see why.
Yeah.
Like, totally see why. The accountability is just unparalleled.
Right.
Like, you need that. You need other people.
And they're everywhere all the time, 24 hours a day, anywhere you go, right?
Yep.
Maybe not every community has that, but find your community. And that's what I'm hearing you say. I found a community. Yeah. I felt heard and seen, which brings me to my third point. I think it was my third point. If you don't feel, if you don't feel heard and seen, that takes us all the way back to the childhood wound that we first started with, right? Mm-hmm. And that's so true for most people, not everybody, but a lot of people listening are going to be like, well, I was never heard or seen before. Like, why start now?
Yeah.
If you don't, you're still going to have to fill that void somehow. And it's probably not going to be with the healthiest choices.
Right.
Which you learned.
Yeah, I did learn. And I learned also, you know, that outer strength helped build my inner strength. And so it was kind of twofold when I was getting into the community of it all.
Yeah. Well, mind body, you learned very quickly too. Yeah. Mind body, spirit.
Yes, spirit's important, that too.
Spirit. Because even though we joked about, and I made the crude comment about being a Catholic in recovery, you know, I loved my faith. I really do. There are aspects that are beautiful.
For sure.
But just as a testimonial to what you've just said, they didn't fit for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could take the beautiful lessons and I can still have a strong faith in God and still be a believer in so many things. But it had to make sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to get into a religious conversation. I don't think either
fair.
one of us want to do that. But we can still be deeply spiritual and hold like strong religious and faith-based beliefs that doesn't subscribe or prescribe to one particular methodology of how to do it.
And I think that was the beautiful thing about the community was I got different perspectives from people who were practicing different things. I mean, religion and faith weren't like a core tenet of what we were doing, but obviously a lot of people, you know, do have that as part of their, you know, their foundation. And so, you know, when we're sharing ideas, we're hearing different perspectives. And I think there's something that comes from that that's, you know, really beautiful is you can kind of share the pieces that work for you and pull, you know, all of that together.
And you are one of the least judgmental people I have ever met, which I really do.
I think honestly
that
came from my struggles. I think,
talk about that.
So
you just excite me, Melissa.
I really do. And I say I could go back to like my divorce as like a really key place, but you know, as we talked about, there were always things that I tried for multiple times throughout my life that I just didn't get. And I think when things that you wanted to go well or that you were in with the intent to go well crumble in front of you, I think you see a different perspective. And so when you hear other people going through different struggles, you realize there's more than one side to the story. And you realize that, you know, being in those shoes, regardless of the circumstances, are really hard. And so I think you start to build more compassion for other people.
Oh, yeah.
And so I mean, we're all human. I think there's a level of judgment in all of us, but
absolutely, or bias or all kinds
exactly
of things.
Because of the ways that we were raised or places we come from or the things that we've seen, like
implicit bias.
It really does change our perspective.
Sure.
And I think that's why it's beautiful that we all exist in this world. But
halo, can we draw a halo?
But I just feel like having compassion and not, you know, you really have no idea what it feels like to be in that person's shoes. You have no idea what that experience felt like for them, what was being said to them, how they were being treated, whatever, or, you know, even
or even how hard the decision in and of itself was.
Right.
You know, and we're talking about one specific thing, but it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything.
And so when I hear, we're like, oh, did you hear about? I'm like, we just don't know. We really don't know what's going on in people's worlds.
Not my circus, not my monkeys, not my story to tell.
No. And honestly, I guess I remember how isolated I felt when things crumbled and people didn't know what to say and people didn't know how to react. And like how people who I didn't feel closest to were like, hey, I'll never forget this woman that I worked with. She was an incredible coworker. She saw I was struggling and that I really had lost my community because my community was so much a part of who both of us were, that it was hard for them to really feel like, or understand where they fit with us anymore. And so she saw that I was struggling. Just, I'm an extrovert and I love people. And so I didn't have that. And she was like, okay, this weekend you don't have the kids? Okay, I need half of your day on Saturday. And I was like, okay. She was like, don't ask questions, just show up, or I'm going to come pick you up. And we went and did goat yoga. We went to a drag show. We just did. We went on adventures, and we went and explored Shepherdstown, West Virginia, like one afternoon, and went to a vineyard. And she just got me out into the world. And so I jokingly called her my yes woman because
I love
she
her.
was
Whoever
like,
she
just
is,
say
I'm sending
yes.
her so much love right now.
She's an incredible person.
Sounds like it. And that she really saw and just intuitively knew,
she
you
did.
need this.
And I feel like she ended up moving. She lives in Tennessee now. But I just feel like she was put in my path for a reason. And she was just such a beautiful light that I really needed in those moments. And so, I think about that. Like sometimes we bump into someone at the grocery store and we have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. And, it's just like you might be put in their path for a reason. And so I think even with Beachbody, like having conversations with people and being able to like offer them a community or a solution to get started or something, that's all I really wanted from it, was just to be able to be that person in someone's path to help them like feel like they had a better way.
And that's part of being a spiritual being.
Yeah.
Is that I think we become more intentional with how we interact with others and see that we are really all interrelated in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever it is that you're doing or not doing may absolutely have an effect on someone else, and that we have no conscious awareness of that.
Right.
And so, I loved when I really saw the light in your eyes when you started being like, okay, so when when we met, it was like, okay, I'm really working on myself, my old patterns, my old belief systems, embracing like, where do I want to change? How?
Yeah.
Then beach bodies, which I think may have pre-existed, but you became more
invested.
Yeah. And then it became like, maybe I'm quite all right. Maybe I have something, I think I have a voice. I think I'm going to post things on Facebook and I'm going to put my story out there and I'm going to motivate people.
Yeah.
To me, that's your spirituality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've always wanted to help people see they can overcome hard things. They don't have to be stuck in, their circumstances don't have to define them. And it doesn't always have to look perfect.
No.
And my life is super complicated right now.
Mine as well. I don't think I'm exactly tiptoeing through the
I
tulip.
wouldn't have it any other way, I
Right.
mean, like I've got, one kid that's with me all the time, two that are with me 50% of the time. Never how I would have prescribed it, but when we're all together, it's just magic. And, the kids love each other, and
you have a solid,
my husband now
I was
is
just
just
gonna say,
wonderful.
solid
He is-
partner
yes.
who really does make you feel seen and heard.
does.
So they exist.
Yes, they do.
So there's someone out there going, no, I'm never going to
Yeah.
find that.
I mean, yeah, he's just been with me through a lot, and just never wavered, and always believed that I could do more. And so it's been really, really beautiful to see how things have unraveled. Like, it's nice because he's not a fixer. I mean, he's very much a fixer. Like, he'll
Physically,
he's
the
a
house
handyman.
and things like that. Yeah, I've seen some of his
Physically a
handiwork.
fixer. If I go with him with a problem, like, it's not like, oh, let me fix this for you. It's like, okay, you got this. You can go. And
How empowering is that?
It's wonderful. Like and it kind of just, I don't know, it makes me sit with myself for a minute and be like, okay, yeah, and because of the history of all of the things and all of the bumps, I can look back and say like, well, I made it through all those things. What's different about this? And so then we go and we try. And there are so many hardships that I would never want to relive, but I am eternally grateful for, because
They're the lessons, they're the gifts.
They are the gifts.
The most powerful ones do not come in pretty packages. I think that has kind of been the theme of almost every single episode.
Yeah.
The gratitude of the hard and the ugly.
It's rough. It's very rough.
But you know what? You're a light. You're amazing. You're
thank
beautiful.
you.
And I want to give you a big hug. And thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you. If you like our message and you enjoy our content, hit that like button, crush that subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments below that we can use for future episodes. Thanks for watching. See you next week.